Mr. Beast's friend and day one content creator that is a part of the Mr. Beast franchise came out as trans. Okay, this has been like a year-long process. They've been on HRT. They use any and all pronouns, by the way. Chris does, and and since that became known, because there was a lot of people speculating on it, since that became known, people have become incredibly fucking unhinged about it because they're incredibly unhinged about trans people. A lot of transphobic people love to say being trans is a mental illness, but then they do like way more mentally ill shit. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. I think being transphobic is like the actual fucking mental illness in this situation. A lot of people, because this is a subject that's like near and dear to me because it's one that I have covered many, many times over. It's one of the things I think I do best is like convert people who have like people who are on the precipice of like having transphobic thoughts and basically snapping them out of it. My own personal journey through having transphobic takes and then changing my mind on it, and all of that was very helpful for some people, at least in this community, and I think that will be helpful for you too if you have like some transphobic sentiment in your mind. It's just like it's a commonplace and very normal position to have because of the rigid gender binary and our misunderstanding of what gender is. Gender is an expression, it's what you wear on top of your sex, okay? It can correspond to your sex if you want to call it biological gender or whatever, but even sex itself is not a binary, obviously, the way that people try to present it, but gender certainly is more a social construct rather than this biological reality as the way that these guys try to present it. It's also anti-science to present gender as this binary, which is very silly. Like, there is no, the consensus is the exact opposite in the scientific community, but a lot of transphobic people oftentimes are conservative or have reactionary tendencies, which is precisely the reason why, they can very easily just say, fuck science. No, science is on my side. Shut the fuck up. Also, don't read any scientific things on this. So I'll just explain it like this really quickly. A lot of people have transphobic sentiment and are largely apathetic to the existence of trans people. Okay? But they don't really like it all that much. And the reason for that is very simple. It's because we've been taught from an early age that gender is binary. It's actually directly tied to your sex and you can't change it. Okay? It's everything to you. It's the most significant component of your identity. Okay? It's like the top of the hour ad break and being a subscriber and not seeing the top of the hour ad break. It's a really powerful part of your identity. You're like, I'm a Hasanabi subscriber, bitch. I'm not going to see a 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour. Right? Well, if you're not a subscriber, you probably will, though. Unless you subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime or by getting gifted a sub if you're lucky. Here's a 3-minute ad break. Now, okay, all jokes aside, as I was saying, gender is or the rigid binary understanding of gender that is outdated, but still very much important in our development, is seen as this like unchanging principle, this unchanging factor. It's certainly not something that like scientists agree on either. It's not. It's scientists actually will openly tell you that is not the case. And that, gender nor sex is like assigned at birth and rigid in the way that the way the conservatives try to say. It's an expression. Sakura Gore, thank you for the 25. Get the subs, by the way. Allowing 25 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. So, but that is the reason why a lot of people have some transphobic sentiment, where that's the reason why a lot of people lend credence, and actually promote the idea that, like, there's only two genders. You hear it all the time. Okay? You hear it all the time. There's a lot of support for it because it seems right. And anything that tells you that that's not the case actually is wrong. It has to be wrong. Society can't be changing like this. Everyone else must be wrong. Okay? This is the reason why even a lot of trans people who then become comfortable with their identity, become comfortable with their expression, literally can start off being transphobic. It's called internalized transphobia. It's a big component. There's half of the trans chatters in here were probably shitting on me for defending trans rights not that fucking long ago. Okay? Telling me I'm a cuck, a soy lord, and gay, and an F word, and trans. And then, what happened? 4 years, 5 years, maybe 6 years down the line, you go, oh, fuck, I'm trans. God damn it. I had no idea. Happens all the time. Okay? Alex Jones' Jockstrap, thank you for the 10 gift the subs. So, that's how this works. That's how this works for even trans people. So, of course, that's how this works for cis people who don't understand it. Gender can be kind of confusing. Okay? Gender can often be confusing. Straight people and cis people also can experience gender dysphoria, as a matter of fact. That makes it even more confusing. The entire point of this is so that people can be more comfortable with their gender expression, with their identity, so that they don't fucking kill themselves. That's it. It's that simple. It's not that hard to understand. Live and let live. Let trans people exist. Trans people do exist, no matter what you fucking say or do. Okay? It's big. It's a big part of this. So, there's two things that happens when you are faced with a trans person's existence, that a trans person exists in society. They are not touching you. They're not harming you. They're not even in your vicinity, but you see them in your content. Two things can exist. You either say, oh, okay, cool, and move on and continue having some level of apathy, or you go, that's fucked up, that's wrong, that if that's right, then everything I know about my own identity is now called into question. I am now going to make it my life's mission to make sure that that doesn't exist in front of me. And unfortunately, a lot of people end up taking that fucking sudden right turn and become out and about transphobic people. But that journey rarely ever ends positively for you, because it slowly starts to capture your very essence, everything you believe in, everything that you see. You see trans people in shadows. You start thinking, what about these cis people? Are they trans? And you ultimately become what I call a transvestigator. Transvestigators are not as commonplace, or weren't as commonplace until recently. The more people become transphobic and hyper-focus on transphobia and trans people, the more they start thinking there's trans people everywhere. And to a certain degree, there are a lot of trans people that you're completely unfamiliar with. But when you go down that transphobia pipeline, which also can be very rewarding for you financially, like Glinner, like J.K. Rowling even, or Dave Chappelle, Matt Walsh, numerous other examples, when you start getting affirmation from a lot of people that also have like-minded perspectives, you basically lean into it. You lean into it. You become a divorced dad who's hyper-focused on trans people. They see trans people everywhere. They're constantly fucking... they're constantly talking about how fucking terrifying it is. And then people start thinking you're weird. Why the fuck are you constantly talking about trans people? Why are you constantly talking about the genitals of children? That's weird, dog. That's kind of gross. I'm beginning to suspect that there's something wrong with you. And when you get to that point, all of a sudden, unless you're like Matt Walsh, who's made it his entire life's goal to eradicate trans people and gets paid handsomely for it, when you get to that point as like a normal person in entertainment or whatever, you oftentimes end up shutting off the money faucet. Unless you make a full tilt right-wing commentary swing. Okay? Or you have such powerful IP like J.K. Rowling that it's unshakable, and everyone that has ever been involved with that IP literally despises you and openly says they no longer want to work with you and want to put it to the past, like Daniel Radcliffe and, Emma Watson and numerous others. So then when HBO is like, well, this is one of the most powerful IPs since the fucking Bible, we got to make sure that we can make it work again. They can't even follow through on the original IP, and they decide to remaster it and remake it with new, young talent because, they still need to make money off of it. That's, of course, a totally different story. I'm talking about HBO Max and the like. Okay? As a guy who says okay and moves on with empathy, I recently had someone tell me it is still transphobic if you have trans people in your vicinity and you are not friends with them. Can you explain your view of that? Yeah, there's going to be people who are fucking weird, okay? Don't listen to them. Like, what the fuck? What do you mean? It's just like, don't listen. There's a lot of confusion and a lot of chaos, even within the trans community itself, which is why whenever someone comes in here with like the latest and greatest that's happening in the trans community and immediately asks me, Hasan, you need to make a statement on this right now as a cishet guy, I say, no. Go back to the forest, get the trans elderly council together, and decide as a community what the best process is moving forward. Don't fucking come to me and tell me you can't use AMAB and AFAB when describing a certain person. You know, you can't do that. Oh, no. All of a sudden, you're making up new rules that not everyone in the trans council of elders even agrees with. You can't do that to me, and you need to stop fucking doing that to random people who are not even as knowledgeable about trans people as I am. Okay? So, as I was saying, my point is this. Trans existence breaks people's brains because society has been designed around the rigid gender binary, and it's a very personal and deep part of our identity. You know, boys wear blue, girls wear pink. Ironic because that concept wasn't the same not that long ago. It's like a recent phenomena. You know what I mean? Dudes used to wear fucking wigs and powder their goddamn faces. They used to dress like women. And also drag queens were very, very commonplace. And not every single person immediately started frothing out of the mouth whenever they saw a drag person. Mrs. Doubtfire is probably the greatest example of this. Okay? It's like, imagine making that movie now. Conservatives would literally fucking do mass immolation campaigns like they're protesting, like a Buddhist monk protesting a fucking Vietnam War or some shit, okay? They would literally be like going to, they would go to the movie theaters and like light themselves on fucking fire if that happened today, okay? So the reason why I mentioned that briefly is because like gender and the way that we understand gender as an expression, even that changes regularly. Okay, so stop being so fucking emotional about any kind of small change that you see in your life. Anyway. So. Yeah, oh, here. This is this is a good one. This is how Franklin D. Roosevelt dressed as a child. Hold on. Yeah. Look at this little gaylord, dude. Look at that. You kidding me? Fucking joking, dude? They're transing our youth, brother. FDR's gay. What the fuck? Anyway, you mean to tell me that like the way to like express your gender has been the same throughout history and perpetuity? Of course not. You'd have to be a real fucking dumbass to feel that way. But a lot of people are dumbasses. So there's not really much you can do about it. If the entire audience that you're talking to is a bunch of dumbasses, then you know that your dumbass takes are going to actually get a lot of movement, right? I mean, here it is. In World War II, drag shows were popular with the troop U.S. and Britain. It was a way to relieve stress. One British unit came under attack while hosting a show, so they had to fight while dolled up. The government tried to hide these photos for years. Oh, I don't know. That's your grandpappy. That's your granddad. That's your great-grandfather, okay? Killing Nazis and also, you know, dressing up and having fun with it. So, very dumb. Very, very, very dumb to get very upset about this. But let's get back to the trans experience. So because these attitudes are so pervasive, so powerful, I myself have had transphobic takes in the past. I made Lady Gaga-ish trans jokes and probably some numerous other jokes as well. A lot of my haters love to use them. They're like 10 years old. I think it was literally 10 years ago is the last time I was on camera saying some transphobic shit. But even then, while that was satirical in nature, I definitely still had some transphobic thoughts. It's something that I'm very open about, something that I'm very open like to explain to you, something that I've talked about a million times over. So, yeah, last time on camera, lol, exactly. No, literally. I say last time on camera because I mean that while I was making jokes on camera about trans people, of course I had transphobic takes, and my transphobic takes slowly but surely went away year over year as I started learning more about trans existence. Okay? But there was one component in my life that was profoundly radicalizing. Okay? Profoundly radicalizing. That was when I started openly defending trans people, like beyond, like nonstop openly defending trans people, and the amount of fucking backlash I got for it. I had been defending trans people, talking about how Jordan Peterson is transphobic for years and years and years. But one thing that absolutely fucking radicalized me even further was when I made the mistake of openly defending trans people on twitch.tv. That's right. Only 4 or 5 years ago, it wasn't even that long ago, that I finally fully reached a point where I was like, oh, whoa, these people are fucking unhinged. Hasan trying to cover his ass. I don't need to cover my ass. Society is transphobic. If I wanted to be transphobic, I would probably make a lot of money doing so. This is a genuinely held belief. You are a fucking sick freak if you legitimately think that I'm like secretly trying to do transphobia on, extremely high difficulty when I'm being open about my own transphobic sentiments in the past. And my own development throughout the years. Shut the fuck up. Just because you're anonymous and because we can't fucking link back to your goddamn 4chan poll fucking logs from at the same time when you were talking about how transphobic you probably were very openly, doesn't change the reality that you weren't also probably transphobic. Shut the fuck up. Growth is a possibility. You can grow. You can change. As a matter of fact, this community is one community where I will always ride for you. If you openly make amends, if you openly say, look, I used to say these kind of things. I have different opinions now. I was wrong. Okay? I hate motherfuckers who try to say, oh, dude, people should shit on you for what you've done in the past. Suck my fucking dick. Anyway. So, as I was saying, the most radicalizing thing that happened for me that truly made me at least like fully understand how devastating the situation was for trans people was when I started openly and publicly defending trans people on Twitch. For the crime of doing such a thing, I was mercilessly cyberbullied, doxxed, people fucking came after me. And I realized at that moment, I'm a cishet white guy. If I'm getting shit on this much, the amount of shit that trans people have to fucking go through to simply just even exist, to have to debate their existence every fucking day is profoundly traumatic. No wonder so many trans people end up, unfortunately, killing themselves. Of course. Imagine, like, everywhere you go, you have to debate your existence every moment. Anyone and everyone around you could constantly be a hostile entity because of how transphobic society is. That's devastating. I was able to empathize with trans people and trans existence from defending trans people. Why am I bringing this up? Okay? Why am I bringing this up? Well, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because, this community has grown a lot throughout that time, and I think a lot of people have also changed their minds as a consequence of that. But now a new member has entered the fray. This battle is no longer fought just by people like myself or, people in this community, but also someone like Mr. Beast. I've been talking to him for the past couple of days, and he has been in shock about how the reception of Chris coming out as trans has been on the internet. Why? Is that a bad thing? Should we get mad at Mr. Beast for being in shock? No, we shouldn't. You want to know why? Because that kind of shows you how all normies and people who are not super fucking well read on this stuff don't even see the issue. They don't even understand it. Okay? A Sunny V2 video came out. White Chris will soon be a nightmare for Mr. Beast. Okay? And Mr. Beast responded to it. So this link says, this new Sunny V2 video feels really invasive for all the wrong reasons. Like, why did you make this? You delved into the man's marriage and shit. It's just really off-putting and unnecessary. Mr. Beast responded and said, yeah, this is getting absurd. Chris isn't my nightmare. He's my fucking friend and things are fine. All this transphobia is starting to piss me off. I could tell you without a shadow of doubt that he's been seeing this shit and he's very frustrated. From what I understand, Chris in his personal life has a lot of friends that are super supportive, and that's very important. But because he also is a public-facing person who had to go through their own transition, their own confirmation of their own gender, and that journey is going to take some time. There's gonna be some changes that come, as far as I understand, from what I have seen of people who have went through gender confirmation, even in this community, right? So, but there's a lot of confusion about that sort of stuff, and most of the people that want to talk about it are right-wing psychopaths. Okay. We are going to watch this video, but the reason why I mention this is because, ultimately, a lot of people, for all the trans people in here, a lot of people do see this, okay? Remember, if you have people in your lives who have defended you publicly, a lot of normal people see this kind of thing and go, holy fuck, these people are fucking insane, okay? Because they are insane. So remember that. They are the fucking deranged ones, okay? The people who make it their life's mission to try and erase trans people out of existence. They're the fucking freaks. They're the nut jobs, okay? You are not alone, and it's not your fucking fault, okay? They can do everything they can to make the one aspect that you have, the one medium that you have for community building and trying to get a fucking fraction of support and hide under the guise of anonymity as well online. They can try and fucking do everything they can in their power to ruin your life, but ultimately you still have resources and you still have a lot of people and normies, especially normies that have a friend that goes through this process, will usually react this way to the overwhelming amount of transphobia. Remember that, okay? That's it. It's unfortunate because it's two parts. Part one is that, everybody fucking sees, a lot of people have transphobic opinions, especially if they don't know that there's someone in their vicinity is trans or whatever, right? Jesus is on Christ. Thank you for the 10 of the subs. But then also on top of that, there's money to be made. Here, Juniper said this, she was great on it. She says, transphobia is a legit mental illness. You just cannot explain this. How do you see someone starting to transition and hate them? How can you just live with this much hate? Especially when you loved this person beforehand. You follow their content, you like them as a part of the Mr. Beast crew, but then the moment that you find out that they're actually trans, you're like, oh, fucking, dude, how Chris became the most hated Mr. Beast member. Let's talk about this transgender. Like, terrifying. Another aspect of transphobia is that it's lucrative, the ease of which you can build a brand and sell a grift. To become rich off of transphobia is insane. All it takes is one retweet from Matt Walsh and bam, you get a $1 million contract selling anti-woke grilled cheese. Okay? Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this is also because there's another side to this. If you become an ally, if you realize trans people are under attack constantly, this is fucking bullshit. What the fuck are we doing here? And you start speaking out, against transphobia and whatnot, and then you deviate away from whatever, online trans leftists believe, they'll come after you and call you transphobic. There's a reason for that. Because everyone is so fucking transphobic that it's understandable that trans people are constantly on the defensive. So when they think that you're an ally, but all of a sudden you deviate away from that perspective a little bit, they might immediately react. Okay? They might immediately react and yell at you. It doesn't fucking matter, okay? Because you're not doing it so that like trans people like you. You're doing it because it's the right thing to do. So remember that shit. Jabri says, this is one of the most dog shit videos I've ever seen. Sonny's conclusion practically blames Chris for not taking the Mr. Beast brand into account before transitioning Lamau. Crabcotic 666, thank you for the 20 gifted subs. And the Anonymous, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. Imagine showing such little regard for the welfare of a human being. Exactly. Don't you also think this is just easy clickbaiting for internet hype clicks? Okay. This is a great question because it is easy clickbaiting. Does that take away from the fact that it's hateful and fucked up? Here, I'll present an alternative for you. A lot of people don't have the same kind of hatred for gay people, at least overtly. Could you imagine if Sunny V2 made a video, if Chris wasn't trans, but actually gay and came out as gay? Can you imagine a video from a prominent, supposedly quote-unquote centrist YouTube essay guy being like, why Chris coming out as gay is a nightmare for Mr. Beast? Why didn't he think about Mr. Beast and the Mr. Beast properties before coming out as gay? In the year 2022 of our holy Lord, if someone fucking came out and made that video, everyone would be like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? You could have made that video in 2003, but you can't make that in 2023. Okay? Stop virtue signaling, lil bro. Yeah, I know. I'm virtue signaling instead of what conservatives like to do, which is vice signaling. Yeah. Virtue signaling as a concept is really smart, is really fucking stupid, especially because it implies that, like, I'm doing something virtuous, you fucking idiot. That is the dumbest thing that you can say to someone. You're like, you're doing it cynically. You're actually cynically showing a virtue. Okay, great. It's still a virtue, dumbass. What are you doing? You're vice signaling. All you like to do, all conservatives like to do, is vice signal. They run around and basically turn around and say to everyone, I'm a bad guy. I'm a bad guy. I like to bully people. I like to bully people who have no fucking recourse, who have no power, who are being legislated away right now in state legislatures all around the fucking country. There's no better example of like vice signaling and how that has become a profoundly important part of the conservative movement than like the state of Utah. Or was it Kansas that recently came out with Penis Inspection Day? Ohio has one, and I believe Kansas also recently came out with Penis Inspection Day as well for all of these young girls that play high school, all the way up to high school sports. That's right. Kansas, in the state legislature, pushed for a bill to make Penis Inspection Day a real reality. Do you want to know how many trans girls or trans athletes in general play K through 12 in the state of Kansas? The number is 3. 2 of them are actually graduating. So the number is actually 1. There's 1 person next year that is trans that is actually participating in K through 12 sports. Why the fuck did they make an entire piece of legislation? Why did they craft an entire piece of legislation that makes it legal for you, legally permissible for you to say, oh, that girl actually is performing real well. That 12-year-old girl, she swims real fast. We got to check her pussy. Because they're fucking pedophiles and they're fucking crazy, okay? Think about that. Think about how fucking insane it is that they wrote legislation for 1 little girl in the state of Kansas to stop her, to bar her from participating in K through 12 sports. That's how fucking sick and perverted transphobic people are. And they spend every waking moment constantly fucking worrying about teenagers and their genitalia. Because they are mentally ill. They're sick people. They're diseased, okay? They have a disease of the mind. And if they don't get any better, they're just going to keep falling down further and further into this insanity. Do you want to know who actually gets harmed pound for pound more than that one trans girl? That one trans girl can't participate in sports. But you want to know who will also, on top of that one trans girl, that will get harmed from this? Cis girls, young cis women, cis girls. Can you imagine? They're just going to start saying, all right, we're doing Penis Inspection Day. 160,000 high school athletes, I believe, if I'm not mistaken on the number. I might be getting it wrong right now. 160,000 K through 12 athletes in the state of Kansas. One is trans. They write this legislation. The 160,000 other athletes are subject to this scrutiny for the sake of barring one trans athlete. Okay? It's fucking insane. Just straight pedophilia, dude. Legislated pedophilia. Why? Because it like bars trans people from competing. Here's another aspect of this. Mr. Beast's friend Chris says, near word for word what a demon-possessed man told Jesus Christ, we are like legion, we are one, we are many.
141 now. That's cool. We get it. You gain a lot of subscribers. 133 million subscribers. I think we're on 141 now. That's cool. We get it. You gain a lot of subscribers so fast. You're so popular and so famous.
Or it is to you.
Or, I mean, in a way it is to me. I am Mr. Beast. We are like a legion. We are one. We are many.
133 million subscribers.
Look at this. Come out, this man, you impure spirit. Then Jesus asked him, what is your name? My name is Legion, he replied, for we are many. It's like, it's literally Mass Effect and so many other fucking video games have utilized this quote. But this got 10,000 likes, man. That's how fucking psychotic people are, okay? 10,000 likes on this. People absolutely go bananas mode online for this kind of shit. But fear not. They're online. They're fucking insane. Now, if you're a trans person and a lot of your output is online, that sucks for you, right? This is like your only area of support. Okay? But know that in the real world, most people have apathy. That's not the best thing to say, but unfortunately, it's the reality. But normies see that kind of shit and go, okay, that's insane. That's actually insane.